What are we?
We're just chilling.
And welcome everybody to Fat Stacks. We're pulling a late night, everybody. Looks like Fisher just got back from work and we're just grinding out. So
Work, yeah. Okay.
I don't know where he works. I'm just gonna say work. It don't matter to me. So anyway, I got something to get off my chest about the Cubs. Here's the thing about the Cubs, and we're probably gonna trade Contreras and Happ and everybody that ever played for the Cubs. And so here's the thing: it's painful to see these guys go. It really is. Last year and this year and all the years. But here's the thing: I don't need the GM up there telling me that we're going to be able to win next year. Don't freaking lie to my face and tell me we're going to win next year. I know we're like 5-6 years out if you do the right job. Like, even if you do the terrible job, like, we're just stuck in the middle forever. So I don't know. Like, here's the thing: I don't really mind trading Contreras and Happ, but like, why? Like, why can't you just keep those guys, build around those guys, and trade relievers, whatever? Like, keep Contreras. I'm okay with trading Happ, but like, me and Garrett were talking about this a little before. Like, how many like catchers do we see like Contreras come through the pipeline? Not very many. So like, you're trading Contreras for like a maybe guy, whether it be infield, pitcher, whatever. And Contreras is like, 3-time All-Star, three years in a row. I mean, a World Series champ. And like, he's been with the organization since he was 17 years old. Like, and so why not just extend him? And the biggest joke of it is that, the owners say they don't have any money. Like, the Chicago Cubs are run like a small market team, like we're freaking Tampa Bay or Baltimore or some other team. Like, it's a joke. And then they say they don't have any money and they want to be a winning team, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to be one or the other. You either have to spend money or you're going to have to win games. So anyway, I just don't know. It sucks, man.
I'm looking at your team and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't think I would trade anybody like on your position players. Really. I mean, you could start, if you think about it, your outfield for the future, you just keep Happ. So you have Happ, you have Christopher Morel in center, and you have Seiya Suzuki, and right, all those guys are going to get better. Happ's going to probably stay the same, but he's still a valuable guy, in my opinion. Up the middle, you have Madrigal, and you have, which is 25, and you have Horner, which can play, and you have Wilson Contreras at catcher, and the only two spots you're missing there are your two corner spots on the infield, which are, I hate to say it, those are the two primary spots that you can generally get in free agency. If you ask me, like, I feel like third base and first base are huge. And I mean, you have a fine, I mean, your rotation's not great. It's old. And that's the one thing that you're missing, I feel like, because your rotation's going to be A-okay. But I think you need to trade your Strowmans and Hendricks's and David Robertson's and see if you can't get younger or something like that. Like, there's so many different teams that have, like, Atlanta Braves have so many young starting pitchers. You probably go and take one of them or two of them if you actually made a deal that might include you'd have to throw a position player in there for them, like, but still, I honestly don't think you're in that bad of a spot if you would just give up your older pitching right now, because I think you guys have enough young guys to roll the dice in about 2 or 3 years.
We have enough like young position players. Pitching is their biggest weakness, but like, you're talking about the corners. We had one of the best first baseman in the league, and we traded him away to the Yankees, and he wanted to be in Chicago, and he wanted to be there, and we still wouldn't give him a fair shake to be extended. Like, and that is terrible. And everybody's like, he's getting old, he's getting back spasms, this, that, and the other. He freaking is tearing it up in New York, one of the best teams in the league, and it just, I don't know, man. Not very great, but I get what you mean. There is hope. Like I see Morrell out there freaking tearing it up. I see Horner out there tearing it up. Madrigal is, pretty fundamental player as
Madrigal,
well.
Madrigal is a ideal 2-hole or 1-hole or 2-hole hitter. Like the man's going to hit about 280, not strike out. At least 280, not strike out. He's going to be on base. And I think if you keep him in front of Contreras and Happ, I mean, you got to have a ton of RBI opportunities.
Yeah.
And
don't
throwing Morel.
Don't forget about your outfield. You forgot one guy, and that is my guy, Seiya Suzuki, baby. He's in the outfield. He's in right field holding it down. And let me tell you something. Since he's came off that finger injury, he's tearing it up. I want you to look at the stats on Seiya Suzuki. I want you to tell me if he hadn't got hurt, he wouldn't have been a Rookie of the Year candidate because he would have been.
He would have been a candidate. I'm not going to doubt that. Do I think he'd be number one? I don't know. I'd still probably have Strider over him right now. It'd be pretty close, though.
That's fair. Anyway, what we came to talk about today, we're not talking about Chicago sports because it just is measurable, just a measurable life. And it's terrible. Anyway, we're talking college football, what it really is. College football season's coming up. Fisher's nodding his head. I'm all about college football, baby. And we're talking about the Pac-12. And here's the thing. I'm not a big Pac-12 guy. If you want to talk about my least favorite conference, it's probably the Pac-12 just because it's real late at night. You got to grind for it. But I mean, it is what it is. So we can kind of go over a little bit. So what I kind of want to go over is who do we think is going to win the Pac-12 and who do we kind of, if we think the Pac-12 winner is going to be in the college football playoffs. And then we can kind of dive into the teams leaving the Pac-12 after we talk about this year. And then we can talk about the teams leaving the Pac-12, see how we like that sort of thing. So anyway, Garrett, you can go ahead because I don't know if you're very familiar with college football. So you can go ahead and then me and Fisher can see if we can correct you.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm not the college football guy in this group. I will tell you that much. And it seems to me like this South division is just way more loaded than the North division. I mean, South you have Utah and USC and UCLA compared to your North, which I basically just see Oregon and Oregon State. But I got to throw Oregon in there and talk about Oregon for a second because, big Justin Herbert guy, former Oregon. I did watch Justin Herbert back in the day, play a little bit of Oregon. Oregon's going to be fine, but let's just be honest. The talk of this whole conference is the fact that USC and UCLA is leaving next year and going to the Big Ten, and also the fact that Lincoln Riley is now at USC. I'm probably going to take Utah just because first year Lincoln Riley in the US at USC. I'm like, I don't know. It's debatable. It's like I like Lincoln Riley, but do I think that he's going to win his first year? It's hard for a first year coach to win it when they, when I.
No, yeah, I mean
Pac-12.
Yeah.
So I'm probably still leaning toward Utah, but I would probably say Oregon in that top division. I don't know anything about hardly any of those teams, but Oregon just seems to always be there in that North division. So I'd say, and I think Utah will beat Oregon. I honestly think Oregon would fall into like the number 3 spot. I think they're above UCLA, but under Utah, USC in the South.
All right, Fisher, what do you think?
Yeah, Oregon's always in the mix. I don't know much about their personnel, but have you seen their schedule? Their non-conference schedule. Week 1, they take on Georgia. Week 2, Eastern Washington. That's going to be a 50-point game. Week 3, they take on BYU.
It's not
I
easy.
think BYU wins that game. They're going to be rock solid. That's a 10-2 team this year, BYU. So Oregon, their road to the playoffs is I don't know. I think they're a little overhyped this year. I've got Utah. They've got a lot of guys coming back. By the way, the best bet of the entire Pac-12 is Utah over 8.5 wins. That's a lock. That's put the second mortgage down on it. If you look at their schedule, like we were talking about, the Pac-12, it's not our favorite conference. I mean, they're starting games at like 10 o'clock at our time. There's some crappy teams. Arizona's really bad. Arizona State, Oregon State had a decent year. They're going to be bad this year. Utah has a terrible schedule, over 8.5. Put a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely over 8.5 is a lock there. But I think Utah's going to run away with it. I really do. I just don't think that. I think Caleb Williams is going to do fine with Lincoln Riley in there. I think USC is the only team that really could compete with Utah in the conference. Kind of sucks they're in the same division, but I think it'll be like an Oregon, maybe I don't know, maybe like a Washington or an Oregon versus Utah in the Pac-12 championship. I can see Washington sneaking in there. It seems like they're always kind of up there in the mix and everything, but I don't know. I mean, I think Utah, like you said, they got a lot of guys coming back and everything.
And they did change the format this year, where it's not North versus South in the championship.
It's not.
There could be two teams from the South.
Last
year it would have been different. It would have been a different matchup.
Okay, that's my bad then. I haven't.
They just changed it.
Yeah, I mean, so it could be USC, Utah. That'd be a good matchup in the championship game. But I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it really matters. I don't think any team, unless it's USC and they go undefeated, because I don't think Utah's getting in the playoff. I'll just be honest with you, ever. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the only team that could get in there is USC, flashy team. Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, the whole thing. I think they could get in. If they win the Pac-12, I think that might be Pac-12's only shot to kind of stay alive this last year, probably.
Now, if Utah goes undefeated, you're saying they don't get in. Do you think they deserve to get in if they go undefeated?
I don't know. You have to look at their schedule. Probably not. You said their schedule's kind of weak.
Week 1, they open up against Florida at Florida. Now, that's not one of the better SEC teams this year, but if you add that win to the resume and you say, hey, here's a team who dominated their conference, and week 1, they had the balls to go out and play a historically good team in the SEC and Gainesville and win, I think that's
Florida's going to be a top 25 team, though, by the end of the year, because that's what it's on.
That's what's going to matter. It's going to matter what Florida does the rest of the year. If Utah puts a spanking on Florida and then goes undefeated, and Florida ends up being top 4 and top 4 in the SEC, I think Utah's in. I hate to say it like that. That's a big win then. You know what I mean? If they go into Florida and beat Florida by at least 7 or more, and Florida ends up being top 4 in the SEC, I don't know how you can keep them out. I really don't if they go undefeated.
I don't even think Florida's top 4 in the SEC. I mean, I don't mean to bleed into SEC talk right now, but I don't even think they're top.
I don't think they are either. I think they might be hard pressed to be top 4 in their own division in the SEC this year. But the SEC is king, and if you can go in there and knock off a good team, that's big in my book. Now, I'm not on the committee, and I would do things differently if I was, but would you take, if you were on the committee, would you take an undefeated Utah, and this is all just hypothetical, an undefeated Utah who went in and beat Florida by 2 touchdowns, and Florida ended up being 8-4, or would you take an Alabama that went 11-1 and did not win their conference championship?
I mean, what the committee's going to do. They're going to put Alabama in there.
They're going to put Alabama in. But if you take all the financial this could be
this could be think about this. Say Alabama goes undefeated, or what? Let's say Alabama goes undefeated. Let's say let's say Alabama has 1 loss, and let's say Tennessee has 1 loss, but it's in the conference championship against Alabama. Do you think both SEC teams are getting in, or you think they're putting Utah in there? I think both SEC teams are getting in.
I think they're both getting in. We saw that last year.
Yeah. I legit think, and I know you're a big Tennessee guy, I think that Tennessee could have an undefeated season, go in the conference championship, or Alabama could have an undefeated season, go in the conference championship, and get beat by Tennessee. Like, I think Tennessee's going to win the East, but I think they're going to be pretty good. But anyway, that's SEC talk.
I don't think Tennessee is going to have more than 10 wins this year.
You don't think so?
No. Tennessee. Here's the thing about Tennessee. Tennessee and Auburn are the only two teams that have to play Alabama and Georgia every single year. It's a part of, you play every team in your division, and then you have that one cross-division rival you play every year. Tennessee's is Alabama, Auburn's is Georgia. We play Alabama and Georgia every year, and we're probably not going to beat either. So those are two losses right there.
They ain't going to beat Georgia.
They're still going to be – Georgia's still going to be, I think, a mile or two above Tennessee. And I hate to say it, but the coaching staff, what they've got going on is working. The players are buying in, and Stetson Bennett is still the best game manager in college football right now. So anyway. I know we're dipping into SEC now, but I just wanted to clear the air there.
Just I don't know, man. Anyway, I don't think any Pac-12 team's going to get in. We've seen it. Has any Pac-12 team got in? I can't think of the last one that's gotten in.
There's been two. Oregon was one of them. I'm not sure if Washington snuck in.
Washington got in 1 year as a 4 seed and got kicked the crap out of by Alabama, I think.
Yes. So I think Washington might have been the first year they did the second year they did the play. The first year Ohio State was the 4 seed.
Yeah, they won.
But I don't know. Here's the thing with USC. All three of us, we're growing up, and USC is always overhyped. August, September, they've always got these big prospects coming in, and nothing clicks. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid until they prove me wrong. So Utah is a pretty good bet to win the conference. They're a pretty good bet to win over 9 games. USC, there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of talent coming in with the portal. But I'm not buying them winning more than 9 games, 10 games this year.
So I got a question. What if Utah goes undefeated and knocks off USC not once but twice? Because you're talking about knocking them off twice, and USC goes undefeated besides Utah. Does Utah not get in then?
You have to put Utah in.
Yeah, they put Utah in.
Because I was looking at USC's record. If USC goes and beats Notre Dame, because I think it's one of those things that I don't see USC losing. I don't think USC is going to lose to Rice. I don't think they're going to lose to Stanford. Fresno State, no. Oregon State, no. Or Arizona State, no. I don't see them losing to anyone except Utah on this list, except maybe Notre Dame. I don't think UCLA is going to play with USC. So, it's one of those things I'm looking at it. I'm like, if USC somehow beats Notre Dame and Utah knocks them off twice, I think Utah's definitely in, no matter what, especially if Utah – unless Utah loses to Florida first week. But I don't know. I'm looking at this now, and I'm like, I think it's going to be a clear cut. It's USC or Utah unless.
I think UCLA might surprise some people. They've got some key guys returning. Their running back, he's coming back after 1,000 yards. Was that guy's name Dorian Thompson at quarterback? He's coming back. But I think the Trojans are going to beat them. But UCLA might be a good value pick to win the conference. But back to your point. Number one, I think Notre Dame's going to beat USC. But if USC were to win that game and then win out, you have to put Utah in the playoff. There's no
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Anyway, so let's just kind of wrap it up here. Let's talk about kind of the move from USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. I just don't I don't know how I feel about it. It's just gonna be weird seeing them play. It's teams like Iowa and Wisconsin every single week. I don't know. it's just going to be a tough transition. I really don't know how it's going to work out. Lincoln Riley pansy out. Once Oklahoma said they're going to be in the SEC, he moved on, went to the USC, and now they're going to be in the Big Ten. So it's time to play some big boy football, Lincoln Riley, and let's see what you kind of got. Because you don't want to play in the SEC, so you go to the second best and you play in the Big Ten. So if you can't make it in the Big Ten, you might have made the right decision not to play in the SEC. So that's really all I kind of have to say about that. I felt kind of like that was kind of a coward move on Lincoln Riley's part to kind of run away and go somewhere else when they kind of announced Oklahoma was going to the SEC. Like they announced Oklahoma was going to the SEC, he takes off and goes to USC. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. So Fisher, go ahead.
Well, he has an uphill battle because USC finished 89th in defense last year. That's not going to work against the good teams in the Pac-12, and it's really not going to work against the Big Ten in a few years when that move happens. So you're right. It's time to play some big boy football. This ain't the Big 12 anymore where you can just beat up on Kansas every week. This is legit, and it's going to be different schemes than what he's used to. I mean, Pac-12.
It's going to be 3 tight ends, run the ball down your throat type football. I mean, it's Iowa. They roll out with 3 tight ends all the time. Wisconsin, they do the same exact thing. So it's going to be a lot different.
And that's not what Lincoln Riley's used to seeing. It's not what Chip Kelly's used to seeing at UCLA. So it's going to be pretty fun. Also, it's just the whole traditional conference thing. If it wasn't already out the window, it is now. Because instead of, the quick flight from LA to Tempe, Arizona, what happens when UCLA, they've got to travel to Rutgers? I mean, that is clear cross country, and that's in your conference now. Like that is, you cannot get farther away in the country. It's all, it's a business. I get it, but it's kind of wild.
Yeah. Gary, your last thoughts on it? Yeah.
I hate to say this, but I think all of the conferences need a whole rework, and it actually needs to play by where you're located. I hate to say it, you play who's close to you, whether what sport it is, and you can narrow it down into certain groups. But this is the thing. We've gotten to the point where, this is before all this, UCLA is going to be traveling all the way to the Midwest every single game in order to play a college football game every single week. Or the Midwest is traveling to them. That's kind of insane. It's kind of like the fact of when West Virginia went to the Big 12 back a while ago. It made zero sense, and people were like, why is that happening? West Virginia should easily be either in the Big East or the SEC or one of those. Stay over there. West Virginia should be in the exact same West Virginia should be in the same conference as Virginia. They are right next to each other. They shouldn't be traveling all. I get it. It's a big business, like Fisher said. Everyone's going to the Big Ten because of money, and I hate that because now you're going to have a ton of teams in the Big Ten, and then everyone's just gonna. At some point, you have to have smaller conferences, and we're just going to weed out everything. And it's kind of actually insane how it's worked out, and I just really wish that it went by area, not based on money. You weren't just, you're giving your conference and you're in it whether you like it or not. That's how I wish it was, because that way it wouldn't be teams flying all across the country every single week whenever you really didn't need to. And don't get me wrong, I think you'd still, you play conference, what's a season, 10 weeks, 10, 11 weeks on the football?
Eight conference games.
Yeah. Every year. You're playing 8 conference games. So you have 3 that are you match up the best teams you think that season against each other. You know what I mean? You don't have to play them, and somebody's going to play someone in their conference. Make a team play at least a team that you think is going to be good every single, because you can generally knock down the first top. You can generally narrow it down to the top 25 teams. So if a team goes undefeated, knocks off the top 25 team, and you could argue this. That's why I think you need to expand to an 8-team playoff, maybe, because like you have it, but like I don't know. I just hate how those conferences are all. It's all. I don't know. It's stupid, in my opinion.
All
But
right. Just one last thought.
whatever.
They're all just trying to be better than the SEC, baby, and they're not going to be. They're not going to be ever. All right.
The sad
SEC.
part is the SEC is very like you send all these teams to the SEC for football, and then like I don't know, like the basketball is very average there. Yeah, I mean, like you're thinking more like I feel like Big 12, Big 10 for basketball, and you're now moving the best teams out of the Pac-12 into the Big 10. Like,
Well, football brings in more revenue. That's what it comes down to.
yeah,
And
I
I mean,
understand
look
that.
at like Missouri, like you were talking about, Garrett. You know, in a perfect world, like Missouri should not be in the Southeastern Conference. Missouri is not South and it's not East.
No,
It's right in the middle of
no,
America.
it's dead center.
And teams that, when the Tennessee football team comes to play Missouri, they travel right through Mount Vernon. They come through Southern Illinois.
Yeah,
That's not Southeastern Conference
no,
football. So
Yeah.
it
sucks. And Missouri sucks now. Like the only reason Missouri went to the SEC to begin with is because they were the best Big 12 team and they were getting into the best bowl game. So like, okay, let's go to the SEC. Let's prove ourselves. They were good for like 2 years, and now they go like 3-9 in football, and they're pretty bad in basketball too.
yeah, it's honestly just crazy because like look at what the Pac-12's got to be. I'm taking this from a football and basketball perspective. I
Oh, it's gonna be terrible.
I might just bet on Oregon to win the SEC in every single sport. I am not the SEC win the Pac-12 in every single sport because
terrible.
honestly, like I would make money on that if I just bet that right off the start.
Look at the football teams. Look at Arizona and Arizona State football. Arizona State is supposed to be a powerhouse. Herm Edwards, you guys know Herm Edwards still coaches there. If it was anybody else, they would be gone because they are terrible. They've got talent and they're terrible. But since he's a media personnel, they keep him on. And Arizona has won one football game in the last 2 years. So
Yeah, I just hate this. Like I want spread out. I want good games the whole way throughout, and I don't want so many conferences stacked and so many conferences left out. That's like I don't want Gonzaga. Prime example, Gonzaga basketball. We always argue they play the easiest schedule. And in football, that doesn't get you anywhere. But basketball, for some reason, that gets Gonzaga everywhere. You know what I mean? It's one of those pick and choose moments, and I'm just taking it from the basketball perspective right now. But I hate how it works. But we can move on. It's okay.
All right, guys. We'll get out of here. Next time, boys, be ready. We're going to talk ACC football. I think is going to be our next one, unless you guys want to talk about something else. But I think ACC is going to be our next. We're going to talk about
ACC
Clemson.
still play football?
The ACC, Clemson, Wake Forest, and that's about it. So anyway, guys, all right, we'll see you later, and always bet responsibly.